Oh shit!
Woo! We'll get to that. Anyway, check out how I used my home studio to create this ad for TorchBearer Sauces.
Heard you like to get blazed. So do we. Whether you like it mild or melt your face off, we've got a sauce for you. Pass the torch.
Today I'm shooting a commercial for TorchBearer Sauces. This is actually my first official paid video production gig. All the videos you guys have seen up until this point have been spec ads, so I guess it's paying off. So let me walk you through my set and how this first scene is laid out. I'm using the sand seamless backdrop paper from Savage. For my surface, I'm using a similar colored yellow piece of adhesive wallpaper that I put onto a sheet of MDF. For my lighting, my key light is the Amaran 200XS with an Amaran Light Dome Mini SE. For the fill, I'm using an Amaran 100XS with an Aperture Light Dome 3. To better separate the product from the backdrop and add a gradient look, I'm using an Amaran P60C panel light. I'm also using two Aperture MT Pro tube lights dialed down to 2000 Kelvin to add a yellow hue to the opening scene to tie in the spicy nature of the hot sauce. For my camera, I'm rolling on a Canon R5C with a Sigma 18-35 f1.8 art lens. The first shot I'm filming is a slider shot showing a range of their hot sauces ranging from their most mild to hottest. I'm using the Edelkrone Slider Plus V5 to get a nice smooth movement. And I'm doing a few different takes at different speeds to see what looks best with the voiceover and the edited ad. And then I'm also going to do a few different takes with various focal lengths, so I can also play around with how much of the bottle we're seeing during the slide. And here's what one of those raw clips looked like. Alright, this next shot is the handoff where we're going to have my hand and John's hand come into frame where we both grab half of the bottle. And what we're going to do is then match cut to about 4 or 5 other of their main flavors. And then once we hit the last flavor, John's gonna pull his hand out of frame left and I'm gonna pull my hand out of frame right. So to help eliminate shadows on the backdrop, I bumped up the key light to 100% intensity and I killed the MT Pro tube lights and the panel light for the shot since we're getting enough light simply from the key and the fill. For the lens, I switched over to my Canon RF macro lens. It's a 200mm f2.4 lens. Once we figure out exactly where our elbow should be, I'm just gonna put a little piece of tape so that way when we're working on the match cut, we can get the next sauce relatively in the same place where we shot the last one. And then in post, hopefully I can clean up any type of discrepancy and better align this. In the edited ad, it starts off with the two hands going slow motion in front of each other, and then once they connect on the bottle is when we go back to fast motion or regular speed, and then that's gonna be quick cuts of all the match cuts. So first shot filmed in 120, the rest of the shots filmed in 60, shutter speed will be 240 and 120 accordingly. This is probably gonna be my favorite shot of the ad, so I'm looking forward to getting this one done. Action, action. I also did a take using manual focus instead of autofocus. Then I switched to 60 FPS to record all of the flavors. Action. That felt good. Let's do a few good ones though. Swap, the next one in the series is habanero.
Why are you shaking up?
I thought that would look better,
That
but
looks worse.
whatever, your hand's gonna cover most of that. I know, this is a very loose, this one's very loose.
Don't shake them.
Okay. Action. That was the worst one yet. Next, we have Mushroom Mayhem. Let's get it. Action. Action. Too low.
Stop laughing.
It's too low. Action. That felt secure. We have to do the last sauce, which is the Reaper. Let's do 2 good ones like we've been doing, and then we'll get 2 good ones when we move our hands out of the frame. I feel like I can see you in frame. Or is, oh, it's me. Action. Oh, why are we... This is loose, dude. That was almost freaking in your eye. That would have been so bad.
Dude, it's the hottest one.
Then I had the bright idea I should have thought of originally where we could have just kept our hands in the same spot and replaced the sauce one by one. So we did that for the next take. Reaper cap is on. On this one, you have to move your hand out of the frame, okay?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Sick. Let's check it out. That may have been perfect. For that last shot, I ended up using the panel light angled upwards towards the backdrop to help us eliminate shadows. And I also had to adjust the angle on the key light so that way John's shadow wasn't in frame. And here are what those raw shots looked like. Then I added a wood textured piece of peel and stick wallpaper to the other side of my MDF panel. For the lighting, I moved my key and fill light closer to the subject. I used the two tube lights on either side to give a little bit more light coming in from the sides to really add some nice highlights onto the glass bottles. The panel light is going full blast against the backdrop to really illuminate that and help decrease any shadows there. And then this is an Aperture MC light set to a warm color temperature. And that one is specifically helping to illuminate that chili pepper back there because I was getting a lot of shadows. I'm filming on the Sigma 18-35 again, and I have my camera at a low angle looking up because that's always ideal for hero shots, as you can see. So when we were doing that sauce handoff clip, he pulls the Reaper sauce away, and so the idea is to cut from that to this hero where he's now placing the bottle down, and then it goes up to the tagline, which is pass the torch. I closed my lens down as far as it would go at f/16 to get as much of the scene in focus as possible. To compensate for the small aperture, I blasted all of my lights at 100% intensity and bumped up my ISO to 2500. A lot of people get afraid to bump up their ISO because they think it's going to get grainy, which is true if you go too high, but a lot of people forget that these newer cameras are designed to shoot better in low light. So sometimes you can really lean on your camera to give it the extra boost in lighting that you need, so don't be afraid to shoot higher on your ISO than you usually would. And here's what the raw shot looked like. For day 2 of the shoot, I switched to the Thunder Gray seamless backdrop paper and set up a concrete textured surface on my sheet of MDF. I need to make sure that these bottles are filled all the way to the top because otherwise if I film them as is and I composite the stream of sauce shooting out, it's gonna look weird when the sauce isn't even touching the top of the cap. So good thing TorchBearer sent me a ton of sauce, like 36 bottles. So we got plenty to work with. So I'm gonna open one of these new ones and fill each of these to the top. And then what I'm gonna be doing first is shooting the 3 of these bottles lined up like this, and then I will walk you through the other shots that are all needed to make this special effect work. I toned everything back down to 5600 Kelvin, so now everything is a nice cool color to really emphasize the dark backdrop. We actually don't want the backdrop to look too gray. We more so want it to be more of like a black, so when we crush it down in post, it'll be easier to do that when we're not explicitly lighting the backdrop. So as you can see, the panel light is pointed towards the bottles, not the backdrop. So we have one angled, basically hitting the side of this bottle and this bottle, and then this one's kicked outwards a little bit to illuminate the side of this bottle. I'm actually gonna shoot the first scene stationary with the bottle caps on. This shot is mainly just going to serve as a reference, so that way when I'm editing and I'm compositing the new bottle caps in, I can make sure that the size is correct and also to make sure that the depth of field is correct as well. I'm also shooting this all the way closed down at f/16, similar to the hero shot, so my ISO is still at 2500. I wanted to make sure that all of the labels are in focus, despite some of them being further in the background versus the foreground, like the zombie one. So first, let me just get about 10 seconds of this stationary, and then I'll move on to the second part of the scene. Now what I'm gonna do is remove the bottle caps and do that same shot, but with the caps off. Also, I wanted to mention that I'm purposely filming this with about a third headroom above all of the bottles, and I'm shooting at an upward angle because when I composite the sauce streams coming out, I want to make sure there's plenty of room to really emphasize that that's shooting up. If we had the frame with this more towards the top or even centered, it would just be such like a lame sauce stream because you would only see it for like half a second. By giving ourselves plenty of room here, it should really kind of double down on that effect and make it look a lot cooler if it looks like it's shooting all the way onto like the ceiling or something. For this syringe shot, I'm hoping this is gonna work. I have these syringes here, so I'm just taping down this syringe for a second so I can pull focus on the macro. I'm gonna pull focus, and I also am gonna pan up so I can only just barely see the very top of the syringe. I'm still shooting at f/16 to hopefully get everything in focus. And then I'm hoping I can just launch it and hopefully it'll at least go up a little bit. and it will look cool. I'm shooting in slow-mo right now, so I'm at 120 FPS, 240 shutter. This is gonna get messy. Oh yeah, okay, just testing it right there. I think it's gonna work. All right, I can't really seem to fill this up very much. I'm gonna just try it, the first one with it filled up just right here, and then just go for it. Oh shit. Oh man. All over the ceiling, dude. So that definitely works. Let's cut. I'm hoping this is gonna work. Hopefully it'll at least go up a little bit. This is gonna get messy. I think it's gonna work. Just go for it. Look a lot cooler if it looks like it's shooting all the way onto like the ceiling or something. I went from thinking this wasn't gonna work at all to going all over my ceiling. I think I need to repaint this. I could only imagine, guys, could you have imagined if I did fill the syringe to the top? Because at first I was like, oh, I'm kind of bummed. This is only filling like the tiniest bit. This is gonna look lame. My entire house would have been orange. I'm going to tape paper towels on my ceiling, even though this time I'm also gonna push a lot lighter. I'll get a fresh syringe. Sketchy ass needle. Oh yeah, by the way, it's probably key that I mention this. I'm taking the needle off, obviously. So I'm just shooting it through the bigger hole, that's like that. And now I think I'll do the mushroom sauce next. Oh yeah, now I'm already seeing some on the backdrop too. There's like splatters everywhere. Okay, this one sucked up way more. Now I'm actually so scared. I think we gotta just send it though, because we can't have this where we sent the first one and then we half-assed the last two. That's just not gonna look right. So I think, you know, we just deal with the consequences if it happens. All right, let's do it. Oh, this is a joke at this point. Okay, cut. Look at this murder scene. So yeah, it did go outside the paper towel, and look at that. We still have one more to go, holy shit. So, sweet onion, eh? Here we go. All right, I'm sure that's plenty based off of the last two times. What did you do at work today? Let's just do it. I think that like perfectly missed the ceiling. All right, I'm happy to say that I think this scene's done. And after all of that, here are the raw clips. In post, I took the shot with the bottle caps on and drew a mask around each cap to isolate them, creating 3 separate layers. I used the shot without the caps as the main base clip. On each sauce clip, I drew a mask around the stream and changed the blend mode to lighter color, so the background would be removed. I keyframed the bottle cap motion and the mask outline of the sauce and timed them properly to look like the pressure of the sauce was pushing the caps off. This shot came out even better than I imagined. This is the shot where we're gonna be pouring the sauce. I made sure to leave extra negative space to the left side of the sauce because this is where we're gonna be adding the Hot Ones graphic. I set up these yellow blocks so that way I could pull focus on my macro lens, but once I actually go to record, I'll slide these out of the way and try to keep my hand in roughly the same position. And I also switched the camera back to 60 FPS, 120 shutter. And the panel light is now back to 2500 Kelvin to make the backdrop a little bit more gold. Really loved how sharp this shot came out. All right, we just made these chicken wings and we tossed them in the garlic reaper sauce. And then I have my macro lens, which is gonna be very zoomed in to one of the chickens. And then I'm gonna grab a spoonful of the extra sauce and pour it over the wings so that way in the macro, you're gonna see a drip of sauce. And here's that delicious raw clip. For the next shot, I filled a sauce cup with the same garlic reaper hot sauce. I had John dunk a drumstick into the sauce while I tracked him handheld with the camera. We did a few practice ones where we stopped before the dunk to get the tracking right and ended up doing a few takes. That was good. Can we keep that wing and dunk it deeper so it's more dramatic? And here's that raw clip. For day 3 of the shoot, it's all about fire. For some added accent lighting, I have these two Aperture MT Pro tube lights, and I'm using one of their built-in presets where they have a fire preset. So using the Sidus Link app, which you can use if you have Aperture and Amaran branded lights, I created a new group with just these two tube lights in it, and I set it to the fire effects. And what I'm going to do is just simply hit the start button once we ignite the fire. This is a very simple and quick way where I can turn on both lights at the same time without manually needing to hit these switches when we have a lot going on right here. And that's going to flash different warm light tones at the bottle, and I'm hoping that that will help double down and emphasize the flames hitting the bottle and just make it look that much more realistic and intense. I bought this custom piece of tempered glass. Now, tempered glass will be a little bit more heat resistant, but by no means does it mean it is fire resistant. So I'm hoping that by getting tempered glass, it'll at least buy us a little bit more time to get the shot done. And of course, working with real flames, this is really dangerous. We're hoping that the flames aren't gonna be anything too crazy, but you should always be prepared for the worst case scenario, just in case. So in order to make this work, we're gonna be pouring lighter fluid all over the glass. And then I got these lighters that have the longer nozzle on them so we can stand pretty far away to light it. It should just go up in flames and then settle down relatively quickly within a few seconds. But again, you should just always be prepared, especially if you're shooting this in a bedroom or some other small studio space with lots of paper and fabric and things like that. Just be super careful. This is definitely not a shot to just mess around with, and you definitely need to have proper pre-production and some emergency things on hand just in case it gets out of control.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
That's fucking sick, dude. That's fucking sick. All right, cut. Let's watch it. Oh, I didn't record. I'm just kidding. That looks fucking dope.
Okay.
That's honestly exactly how I envisioned it.
All right.
Good fucking job. Let's go, dude. That's so sick. All right, that's a wrap. We didn't burn down the house, so that was so dope. It makes me want to light every fucking thing on fire.
Okay.
Did I just become a pyro? Anyway, this shoot was so much fun. I tried a ton of new techniques for the first time and was really happy with the result. Aside from having a stain on my ceiling, it went pretty smoothly. And the client absolutely loved the end result, so that's really all I could ask for. And as always, I appreciate you guys for checking out my videos.